How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Simply Frank with Elegante Entertainment, and I have a video for you guys that is going to allow you to do your wedding reception timeline or itinerary. And this is going to be based on a 4-hour wedding reception. If I can type. So the tool that I'm using here is called Evernote. This is the online version, and I believe this tool allows you to download your app on your iPad or iPhone or Android phone, any portable device, as well as a laptop, or you can just access the Evernote website and then use it from there. So let's get rid of this little thing so it's not in the way. So a 4-hour wedding reception, here are some of the questions you should be asking yourself. First of all, what time is guest arrival? And so let's say that your guests start arriving at 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock is your guest arrival time. And what you want to ask yourself is, what are your guests going to be doing at this time? Sometimes we allow them time to get there, get situated. So let's allow 15 minutes for that. So 6 to 6:15 is going to be your guest arrival time. And at 6:15, we will actually have the grand introductions. So this is where the bride and groom are introduced. And one of the questions we ask here is, do you guys want to introduce the bridal party? So is the bridal party going to be introduced? So we have to figure that out first. And if the bridal party is going to be introduced, you have the option of having 2 songs to be introduced. One song option is you play the same song as the bridal party is introduced, and then you keep playing the same song once the bride and groom are introduced. Or you can do the option of where you do one song for the bridal party, and then let's put a question mark here because this is not unknown, and then one song for the bride and groom to be introduced. So let's put song here. And the next thing we want to know is, how do the bride and groom want to be introduced? Is it Mr. and Mrs. Bride and groom Smith, or just Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or Mr. and Mrs. Groom Smith? So these are the 3 options that I normally suggest. Mr. and Mrs., first name, both first names and the last name, or just Mr. and Mrs. and the groom's last name, or Mr. and Mrs. groom's name and last name. So once you decide on that, your next option, your next decision is going to be, are you going to walk into your first dance? So if you do walk into your first dance, then obviously we need to know the song, so we can have it queued up and ready. And once you do your first dance, you dance around, and you're done with the first dance, then the next question is going to be, do you want to do a dinner blessing? And if so, who is going to be doing that dinner blessing? So we need the name of that person. And then, make sure that they are ready. They know that once the first dance is over with, they're going to be leading us in a prayer. So once the blessing is said and done, then we announce that the dinner will be served. So one thing to note here is how long from the guest arrival to the grand introduction and to the dinner being served. This is something that you're going to have to calculate beforehand. Now, is your dinner going to be served, 6:30? Seems to be a perfect time for this. And let's keep the same format as we have. So 6:30 will be when your dinner is served. So once the next thing we have to know is the dinner going to be buffet style or sit down dinner? And the reason we need to know this is, obviously we're going to be making an announcement as DJs, ladies and gentlemen, at this time your dinner is going to be served for a sit-down dinner. Or, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start dismissing tables in just a few moments. Please be seated as your table is called for the buffet dinner. So that's, 2 different options to choose from. And we want to make sure that we get the right announcement for that. And then, you know, the logistics of how we're going to dismiss tables if it's a buffet style dinner. So at this time, we just got to figure out what's going to be done at this time. Next option for our DJs, we need to know what styles of music or genres. Let's just use genres. What genres of music do you want played during dinner? All right, so once you figure that out, either via playlist or maybe just some name artist, a lot of the times some of the popular ones are Michael Bublé and Frank Sinatra. If you're doing a bilingual wedding, Spanish and English, then you want to add some Spanish artists like Luis Miguel, Sin Bandera, etc. So these are some of the the most popular ones as far as dinner music goes. And you have to plan dinner music for about an hour or so. So this will be about 20 songs that you don't have to choose. I mean, you can just do the artist names and that'll get us going. Or if you do want to, you know, if you want some songs that are maybe not as popular as what I'm talking about, and you want to make sure you hear them during dinner, then you do a playlist. You know, if it's going to be an hour, then I would do a playlist about 20 songs. Playlist of 20 songs max. Max. You can do less, definitely, but you know, 3 minutes a song times 20 songs, that's about 60 minutes or an hour. So that should be more than enough to get through dinner. And you don't have to choose all the songs. The DJ should be able to, you know, take 5 songs and then go with it and add them to his regular playlist. So, all right. So once dinner is done, the next thing that you want to do is most of the time we have the toast. And the toast is usually done by the best man, maid of honor. So we are going to need their names and the order that you want them to do the toast. So let's say you have, you know, there's really no order. I mean, I'm sure at some time there was a, you know, gentleman's code, ladies first, or, you know, whatever. But right now, nowadays, there's no particular order. So what I typically recommend is to do the person that has the best speaking abilities to go last. And the reason for that is you don't want the first person to be the one that's going to, you know, make everybody laugh, put everybody to tears, whatever, that they have this amazing ability to be able to grab a microphone and just speak. You want them to go last. That way the person that's going to follow them, you know, doesn't feel like, oh my God, now I have to top that. And, you know, you're already starting on a negative thought. So you want to organize it to where the person with the best speaking abilities goes last. And that's my general rule of thumb. And that's what I always recommend. And it works out really, really good, you know, because you end on a very high energy, high positive note, and, everybody has a good time, has fun, and nobody else has to follow that. One of the things that I do allow for is for the bride and groom to be able to say a thank you, or, you know, just address the crowd. So this would be the perfect time to do that. So bride and groom speech. And it could be just the groom, it could be just the bride, it could be both. So we put speeches. So this is another question mark that we want to fill out eventually. And after the speeches, one thing that I've seen done that looks really good as far as organizing the timeline is to do the cake cutting here. Some people want to do it way later. There's the stigma that people are going to leave once the cake is cut. I really don't see that too much. And remember, this is just going to be the picture portion of cutting the cake. So the photographer is going to come in, you guys are going to cut the cake, and they're going to get their pictures. So it doesn't mean that they're actually you don't have to actually cut the cake at that time. You can just do the cake cutting pictures or cake cutting ceremony. And if we do it at this time, we're also going to need a song for you guys to play. So what song, you know, just something background. Most of the time, if there's no suggestions, I can play something like Sugar by Maroon 5 or Sugar Sugar by the Archies, or something fun, upbeat, and that kind of goes with the theme of the cake cutting. All right, so once we're done with the cake cutting, we have a big if coming up. So if you did not do your first dance after you did your grand introductions back over here, then we're going to put it over here. So if first dance is not done yet, so we're just put if, then we're going to put first dance. It doesn't make sense, I know, writing it down. But, so you're only going to have it here or here. Either one. So some people want to do it right when they walk in. Other people want to do it later, after the dinner. And this would be my recommendation after the cake cutting and bride and groom, or, you know, the speeches. Then we go into the formal dances. So after that, we're going to do the first dance, and then usually I like to follow with the bride, or let's see, father and daughter dance, or bride, father and bride dance. And we also need a song for that. So we need a song. Oh, we also want to know if they're going to be doing a father and daughter bride, or is it going to be brother and bride? Is it going to be an uncle, or maybe just mother and bride? Anything. So it doesn't have to be particularly father-daughter, but the bride is going to have the opportunity to dance with a family member, and or not. It could be no dance for that. But if there is, then we need a song for that. So we got the song selection, and then after that, we're going to have the groom dancing with, again, it could be mother. Typically it's groom and mother, so let's just do the typical dance. But it doesn't have to be groom and mom dance. It could be groom and sister, groom and you know, anybody that makes a difference in his life, and you know, if mom is not around and they want to dance with somebody else. So, and we also are going to need a song for that. And after that, it's actually when we open up the dance floor. So if you notice, we don't actually have times on this, even though it's a timeline. It's more of an order of events. The only thing that's going to be very strict is when dinner is served, because the catering staff is going to want to make sure that they, you know, have the dinner ready by that time and then start serving. So if you tell the catering staff that you want dinner at 6, you know, they're going to be ready at 6. And if you're not ready, you know, your food's going to start getting cold, and it's going to throw their schedule back 30 minutes. So the dinner is a big thing that you want to keep an eye out on. What do you want to do? You know, if you're getting there, if you start at 6 and your guests start arriving at 6, then you want to push dinner to maybe 6:30. But if you start at 6, you know, quote unquote, but your guests start arriving at, you know, 5:30 to 6, then you can start dinner at 6. But then you run into another problem, because your vendors are going to be thinking that they're going to be ready at 6, when in reality they should have been ready by 5:30. So, you know, keep in mind, balance those two things out. That way, you know, your guests start arriving, and, you know, the vendors aren't ready because they were expecting to be done, you know, the guests to start arriving at 6. All right, let's keep going with the timeline. So open dancing, for open dancing, normally I like to do maybe about, you know, 30 minutes to an hour of dancing. And during this time, you know, we're going to play a little bit of everything. Obviously, it's, you know, it's trying to break the ice, trying to get people on the dance floor. So we're going to probably play more of the popular songs, more of maybe some line dances, anything that's going to get people dancing and, you know, get them on the dance floor. Because at the beginning, it is a little bit harder to get people on the dance floor, because nobody wants to be the first one, and nobody wants to be out on the dance floor by themselves. So Open dancing. Music here can be DJ's choice, or if you have a song that that you want to start the dance floor with, then you can add that on there. So DJ choice or particular song. Next thing we have is after the dancing, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour, then we're gonna do the rest of the formalities, which is gonna be the bouquet toss. Bouquet toss. And for that, we are gonna need a song. Let's take away the parentheses. And then we're gonna have the garter removal. So we can do a song for this and garter toss. So we can also do another different song for this. So for the garter removal is when the groom actually gets down and removes the garter. So you know, it's two different things. So we can have maybe more of a slow, you know, Marvin Gaye type song, or you know, something maybe more, a little bit more, you know, so you can dance before he takes off the garter. Something fun. And for the garter toss, that's when the guys come up. So we have a background song for that as well. And we can, you know, it can be two different songs. So, or it can be the same song. It really doesn't matter. It's your choice. I think it looks better when you have, you know, one song for the garter removal and then another song to get the guys up and do the garter toss. And same thing with the bouquet toss. It's just the background song while the ladies are making their way to the dance floor and right before the bride tosses the bouquet. All right, so this is probably going to take, you know, all of 15 minutes at the most. And then any other formalities that might be missing, maybe like a dollar dance. And, you know, in Spanish or bilingual weddings, we have something called la víbora. And it's pretty popular in a lot of the cultures, a lot of the, you know, Mexican cultures mainly, to do la víbora de la mar. So if you're of Mexican, you know, heritage, you might want to ask your parents about la víbora de la mar, because it's something that they probably did back in their days when they got married, or, you know, went to parties during their younger years, and they did the víbora de la mar. It's pretty fun. I mean, it does take a little bit of time, but it's pretty fun. So once we're done with all the formalities, then we open up the dance floor again, open dancing, and then last thing we have the last dance, and this is optional. Not everybody does the last dance. And then we also have a send off. So if all we need to know is if it's gonna be sparkler, exit, rose petals, bubbles, so anything like that. And this is just mainly to let the guests know what's going on. So on a 4-hour wedding, then that means at 10 p.m. we're doing the exit. So this can be adjusted. Some people have a 5-hour wedding reception. Other people have a 6-hour, 7-hour wedding reception. So this can be edited or moved around as needed. So the reason I don't put times on my timeline is because, I mean, obviously I've done this plenty of times, and I can do it without the timelines. And a lot of the times, everything gets moved back a little bit, anywhere around here. You know, maybe the bride and groom are not ready to do the grand entrance, so they got to push it back 5 minutes, etc. So that's the reason I don't put timelines. The one that is very important is, like I said earlier, is dinner. Make sure you know what time dinner is going to be started so we can plan around that. Everything after this, the only thing we gotta keep in mind is what time the photographers and videographers are gonna be leaving, so we can get everything that you want on video and pictures to be done before they leave. So if they're gonna be leaving early, you know, maybe you want to do only 30 minutes of dancing here and then start the bouquet toss, garter removal, garter toss, you know, dollar dance, or anything else that you're gonna be doing. And this is normally how I plan most wedding receptions. It's not perfect, but it will get the job done. And if you follow this sample, it'll get you started. So, you know, like I said, the only thing you want to know is what time do you expect your guests to be arriving, and then what time you expect dinner to start, and everything else should just kind of fall in. You can move anything around, up, back and forth. First dance, you want to move it over here. Like I said, you're only going to do one first dance, and anything after that is should be pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be questions that you're going to have, so feel free to write them in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer any questions you may have. Most of the times when I sit down with my clients, this is exactly how we plan out the wedding reception, and this is, as DJs, this is what is going to allow us to help you out better. So all right, this should be wrapping it up. This video is already going to be around 20 minute mark, so that's plenty of time for you guys. The rest I can answer via questions. So make sure you like this video if you found it useful. Comment in the comment sections, please, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is Simply Frank with Elegante Entertainment, and make sure you stay subscribed to see more videos like this. Have fun.